Yeah, I do. So it's been interesting. I've noticed a lot, especially on social media and even in groups. There's a trend that seems to be kind of emerging where entrepreneurs are bragging about running their businesses with extraordinarily lean teams. Like we've swung a pendulum, right? Like it's a badge of honor to operate with as few people as possible. And I think it's an interesting conversation because obviously AI is fantastic, lean operations are fantastic, but I'm curious from a lot of different ways, but from a business value perspective.
Hey,
Okay, Rick.
everybody. Welcome to Business Lunch Podcast with me, your host, Roland Frasier, and co-hosting with me today is the wonderful, and I think only second appearance on Business Lunch, but we're trying to fix that, Richard Lindner. Richard, how are you doing
Yes,
today?
I'm good. Time number two.
Yeah, I like it.
I am.
We're going to get this to be a regular thing. Richard is so busy operating companies that he's like, oh, I have to work and doesn't have time to do podcasts and stuff. So we're trying to drag him in to share all of the wonderful knowledge and information that he has with you guys. So this is our first attempt to potentially be on a weekly schedule, right?
Yeah, I could quit. I'd quit my job, my day
No, no,
job.
no, 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 no. Don't do
You sure?
that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay. Well, it's an
Uh,
option. It's out there.
So you had something that you were kind of chatting with me about. You want to share it here, and we'll talk it through and see what people think.
Yeah, I do. So it's been interesting. I've noticed a lot, especially on social media and even in groups. There's a trend that seems to be kind of emerging where entrepreneurs are bragging about running their businesses with extraordinarily lean teams. Like we've swung a pendulum, right? Like it's a badge of honor to operate with as few people as possible. And I think it's an interesting conversation because obviously AI is fantastic, lean operations are fantastic, but I'm curious from a lot of different ways, but from a business value perspective, when you're looking at companies or when other companies are looking to acquire companies, is there such a thing as too lean? Right? Like, what are the trade-offs between operational efficiency and profitability and building something that actually has transferable value long term?
Yeah, I think it's a really great question. We talked not long ago about a thing we decided to call it the great flattening of
Oh, I like
businesses
that.
and into like one person departments, and AI has enabled that. But
Hmm.
even before that, I think that what you're talking about has been the case, and I think it's number one a question of, do you want a lifestyle business that is basically going to cap out at what it can do, um, and not have employees and the hassles that are associated with them and be kind of a one person show? Or do you want to have a very lean company that is as tech enabled as possible and therefore very, very flat? Or do you just want to really optimize so that you don't have too many people, but you do have the ability to scale? And so I think that it's like, what bucket are you falling into?
Yeah.
If you're in the first bucket of the lifestyle business, transferable value wise, it's going to be really hard to sell that business because you are, number one, you'll probably be considered an owner operator because it's just
Mhm.
you, and therefore market multiples are significantly lower for owner operated businesses than professionally managed, because a professionally managed business can be bought as an investment, and owner operated business is bought as a job. And
Right.
so more people are investors than are job seekers, for an acquisition. So I think if it's that first bucket, it definitely hurts you. If it's the second bucket of, let's pancake this thing down with technology to as lean as possible, it's interesting. I think that the RPE, the revenue per employee of a business like that, is going to speak well towards a high valuation, but the risks are going to be replacement cost, dependencies on individuals for entire departments and things like that.
Right.
So, and also, what happens if there's tech interruption, because there's tech threats all the time, right? And how committed are you capital wise to tech? Because tech is becoming more and more expensive as a budget item, almost like a capex, like a capital expenditure, but not like not a fixed thing that I can then turn around and sell because probably it's worth nothing because it got obsolesced, last week. And then that third bucket of I want to have the right number of people that I need. I also want to balance that number with tech efficiency, but I want the human touch to still be involved, and I also don't want any giant dependencies. Is the best place to be. So I think so it depends on which of those three we're talking about, but I think those are the things that you're kind of thinking about. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you have a lifestyle business, then you need to build a lifestyle business, right? You need to, It needs to be as profitable as possible, as automated as possible, and you need to be as leveraged as possible, right? Like, it's a lifestyle. So make it that. If you're building something to sell, then you're selling the ability to execute, right?
Yep.
And technology breaks. So technology, it needs to be there to amplify. In my opinion, we need to have roles that technology can completely own, and have roles that technology amplify. And to your point, departments of one, but not departments of one AI employee. I think that's when it becomes dangerous, because AI tools are changing every 6 minutes, every 6 days, every 6 months. It's a complete redo. An employee becomes obsolete over a period of years if they choose not to have any interest in professional development. An AI employee may become obsolete in a matter of weeks. So I think it is a sweet spot. And I think identifying what are the critical value drivers and departments in the company that you need areas of human ownership and oversight, and start there. And as long as we have people there that can execute and can delegate, and whether they're delegating to humans or artificial intelligence, you still have that human, and it can be a very flat org and limited number of direct reports into the founder or the CEO, or however that structure works. But I think that is dangerous in some of the bragging that I'm seeing on social media, where there's these non-lifestyle businesses that are down to 3 and 4 human employees that, and frankly, some of the people that I'm talking to that are looking and aspiring to get that lean, with the goal of exiting that business in the next 18 to 24 months. I think it's going to be seen as a massive devaluation.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes, because there was one of the companies, I just don't remember the name of it, that they achieved a $40 million a year savings by replacing most of their front end customer service people with AI. Right. And then everything fell apart, and they got terrible reviews and terrible customer experiences, lost customers, and basically had to kind of go back to having humans. And so, like, an area like customer support, I think it's really dangerous to try to be lean in customer support, is usually to give poor customer support, whether it's AI based, offshored, with contractors, or you just don't have customer support, like a lot of tech companies. You can't reach anyone. You have a problem. John Assaraf sent me a text today and was like, do you know anybody at Facebook, because we're having this big problem, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've never talked to anybody at Facebook except the one time I was there. That's like, it's impossible. So I think that that bragging about it is interesting, because number one, why are you doing that? But number two, is it something to really brag about? I mean, if you're a lifestyle company and you're like, I don't have any employees, I run my business, or our friend Tom, that has the forklift thing, right? Uh-huh. He's awesome, and he's living truly a lifestyle business, and makes multiple seven figures a year with one employee, him and his wife, and he loves it and runs it out of his house basically. And it's a great business. And he doesn't really see taking it to, a giant level, but he's super, super happy with it. And he, by the way, doesn't brag about it. But when you talk to him, that's a pretty cool business.
Very cool.
So there are lots and lots of businesses like that. It's one that he will be able to sell and probably do really well with it because, it fits well. That's the other thing to think about. Like that fits well into an acquirer who would probably fire all the employees anyway. Right. And just
That's
take
a really good point.
Yeah. So like our business, when we sold TNC, right? Traffic and Conversion Summit, they basically were like, yeah, we don't need you guys except, maybe to speak, and we don't need any of your employees or any of your contractors or anything else. We've got a team. And they just basically put all those people into, they just dropped it into their company. I think that's something to think about. Like if you have that kind of business, if you can identify that your potential acquirer probably doesn't want your people anyway, then it's probably okay. But still,
that's a really, really good point.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's fantastic. And I think identifying your, potential acquisition partners and targets is fantastic, and saying, do they see any value in my human capital? Like, are they going to bring them in and fire them because it would just be duplication without a culture fit? Maybe they would see that they have to unlearn what we've taught them and reform new habits. I think then you could make a case for an extra layer of lean, but still I would think that they would want to know that unless they're completely AI augmented and run, that humans can run the company, right? Because if they're going to acquire it and then have humans run it, I think that they would want to know that there are SOPs, there's an operating system that can be run by real people so that they have that transferable value versus prompts and scripts and things in the background that not everyone can decouple.